Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Hope you see me. And those who know how to go on air, so please, you're welcome. If not, I'm taping it anyway, so you can see it later on. Parashat Shavua Bamidbar. We're starting the book of Bamidbar, an interesting book, like all the other books. And it starts, וידבר השם אל משה במדבר סיני באוהל מועד באחד לחודש השני. And God talked to Moses in the desert of Sinai, in Ohel Moed, at the first of the second month, in the second year when they got out of Egypt. And here there is a very interesting phrase, Midbar Sinai. The Torah is telling us specifically, or not specifically, where they are, but Midbar Sinai. While when we remember last week, we were talking about talking to Am Yisrael, to Moshe Rabbeinu, on Har Sinai, the Mount of Sinai. Is there a difference between mentioning the mountain of Sinai and the desert of Sinai? Is there a connection between them? What does it really mean? What is the idea of the desert and the mountain in Sinai? And the idea is very simple. We all know that we are now approaching receiving the Torah from God. And the question is, how do we do it? How do we get to it? So we have Sfirat HaOmer. We're counting the Omer. And the idea is that as we go with the counting, we build ourselves to get to the level that we are going to accept the Torah and get it in the right way, in the best way. So building ourselves means what? First of all, as we all know, and we talked about it a lot, each one of us got his own talent, his own abilities, and sometimes we neglect those things that we've got inside us, and like we look at others. So stop looking at others. Look at yourself, not from the egoistic point of view, but from the general point of view. In other words, you have to understand, we have to understand, all of us, that each one of us is a part of a puzzle, a part of the jewels in the crown of the Kodesh Baruch Hu, of the Almighty. And each one of us got his special place. Like a puzzle, every part's got its place. And if one part is missing, the puzzle is not finished. So in order to build a puzzle, each one of us has to put his own individual, unique part inside the puzzle. That's Sfirat HaOmer. Each one of us, with his unique abilities, together to build the puzzle that we can stand there and receive the Torah. When it's whole, like one, then we have the privilege to receive the Torah. And what is the idea of Midbar and Har? We all know that there is a midrash that says that Am Yisrael got the Torah with water, fire, and desert. And what's the idea behind it? Now, if we want to understand what is the idea of a desert is a place where there is nothing. In other words, if we want to translate it in the good way, there are no desires. You're not in the middle of town and you have all the things glittering to you from all over. There's nothing there. But there is one thing you want and you need. What is it? Water. In the desert, you want water. What is water? Water is Torah. So in other words, to receive the Torah, you have to get to a level of desire, like somebody who is alone in the desert desires what need water. And with this, you need the flames of the fire to take you, elevate you. And you know, when you put water and you put fire, what happens to the water? The water goes up. And this is the idea. And what is the mountain? Because you can say, okay, desert is like there's nothing there, so I've got nothing in me. Who am I? I'm nothing. No. You have to be humble. Because to receive the Torah, you need to be humble, as we know who gave us the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu. He is the one, there is no humbleness more than Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is the highest level of humbleness. Highest level of humbleness. Because he is also Lo Kam B'Yisrael K'Moshe. There is nobody like Moshe Rabbeinu. And this is exactly the idea. Humbleness comes from greatness. Humbleness doesn't mean that you put yourself under the table and do nothing. Oh, I'm nothing, I'm nothing. No, then you do nothing, so you're worth nothing. No, the idea is that be in the desert, be humble. Yeah, you've got nothing, but on a mountain, to understand that you have the Torah. You receive the Torah, and this is a very, very high thing, but you do it from humbleness. So you must not forget that you have to use the humbleness with your greatness. Humbleness comes from greatness. Greatness comes from humbleness. You need both things, because otherwise you do nothing. But you have to understand and realize, who gave me everything? God. But I have to use it. And this is the same way with each one of us, with his own abilities and talents. Each one of us has to use his talents for the best way, but from humbleness. But use it. You have to use it. And God loves us so much that he gives us the Torah, that we will all can build this beautiful thing together. One of the questions is, why is God counting us all the time? So Rashi at the spot says, מתוך חיבתם לפניו מונתן אותם בכל שעה. Because he loves us, he likes us, so he counts us every hour. כשיצאו מצרים מן העם, when they got out of Egypt, he counted them. כשנפלו בעגל, when they, some of the people died in the sin of the golden calf, he counted them to know how much there are left. כשבא להשרות שכינתו עליהם, when he wanted to bring his Shechina, his Holy Spirit on us, he counted them. What does it mean? So you remember I told you once, Rav Yitzchak Zilberstein once was going in the street and he saw a guy coming out of the bank, counting money, the money that he just now got from the bank. And he was so happy and smiling. And so then he puts the money back in his pocket and he goes, walks, and after a few minutes, he sits on a bench on the side and takes out again the money from the pocket and starts counting. And he's happy and laughing, enjoying himself. So the Rav Zilberstein decided, I'm going to watch this guy for a while and see what he's doing. So he puts the money back in his pocket, goes, and then after a few minutes later, it's another bench. He sits again, takes out the money, and counts, and he smiles, he's happy. And the same way, the same thing he did a few times. And says Rav Yitzchak Zilberstein, wow, now I understand what is the idea that because he loves us, God, he counts us all the time. Because this guy, he was so happy with the money he's got that he was counting it all the time. And he was happy. You just counted the money. Nothing changed. It's the same money. But he likes the idea. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, I've got money. I'm happy. I'm good. I'm rich. And this is why God is counting us. When you love somebody, you count it again and again. Then there is another important reason. Counting means that this thing you count is important. Why? For example, when you go to the grocery and you buy tomatoes here in Israel, at least, you don't buy 1, 2, or 3, 4 tomatoes. You buy on kilo. The same way all the vegetables normally you buy by kilo. But if you buy something important, let's say, for example, I'm dealing with chairs and tables. You see, I don't want 1 kilo of chairs or 100 kilo or 1 ton of tables. I want 4 chairs, 8 chairs, 50 chairs, because chairs is a unit that is important. So each one of them is more important than just take it as a whole, like the garinim in the market or the vegetables or whatever it is. So when you count something, it means that it's also important. And if you're already on this way, let's see another thing. A few years ago, I was talking with some Holocaust survivor. And when we were talking, he says, you know what the Nazis did? They took our identity. Instead of using our names, they put a number on the arm and they used the number. They made us numbers, not human beings. Like you count cows, like you count animals. So in other words, in our Torah is written, listen and see how important it is. What is S'u? Raise up the heads of all the community, all the Adat Bnei Israel, all the children of Israel. Lemishpechotam, to the families, to the house of the fathers. Bemispar Shemot, the number of names. And then we see that so many names are written in our Parsha to tell us the importance of Am Yisrael. The importance of names. What is Adam HaRishon doing the first thing? He gives names to all the parts of the creation, to all the animals, to all the things in the creation, including God. Because when you give the name to something, it means that it is important. So Am Yisrael are important. Am Yisrael are being loved by God. They are so important that and so loved that Kodesh Baruch Hu counts them again and again, but he makes sure he counts them according to the families, to the fathers, and to the names. Another interesting episode happens when we see and we try and understand how many were there. So we go to the end and we see the calculation. 1 minute. ויהיו כל הפקודים 600,000 ו3,550. That's the number. 600,000, 3,550. But then when we go back, which I think is half a year before, when they were counted, לכל העובר על הפיקודים מבין 20 שנה ומעלה ל-600,000 ו3,500, this was when they took the מחצית השקל, the half shekel, ו-50. In other words, exactly the same number. Says Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh, 1 minute. I can understand what's going on here. How is it that after half a year they are exactly the same number? Which means that nobody was added on the other number. What? Nobody got to the age that he was counted now? Because from the age of 20, but there are no more, in this half year, nobody was getting 20? And if, which is real reasonable, that of course there are a lot that become 20 and they were counted here, means that a lot of Am Israel died. But 1 minute, we're talking about the time that they built the Mishkan. And there was a promise that while they do this, nobody dies. How does this go together? Interesting. Says Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh, a brilliant idea. When we look here, the Leviim are not counted. They are counted separately later on. In the other one, all of them were counted, including the Leviim. In other words, they are now at the same number without the Leviim as they were with the Leviim half a year ago, which means that not only nobody died, there were a lot that were getting 20. There are a lot more now in the counting. So why now do we count? Exactly from this reason. Because if God will count Am Israel, let's say in another half a year or another year, and it will become a number, doesn't matter what, but it's not going to be the same number. So nobody is going to ask, why is it the same number, and get to the answer, this beautiful answer that God shows us His love to us, and nobody dies through the period of time. So what did God do? He made it clear that exactly when they got to the same number as they were with the Leviim, and now without the Leviim, He says, now I'm counting you. So wow, what's happening here? How is it the same number, we ask? And then we got the answer. Otherwise, we wouldn't ask the question, which is also an unbelievable way to show us how He loves us. And by the way, in life also, if you want to get to sometimes to things, you have to make people ask. Because if things go normally and nobody asks questions, a lot of things we will not find out. And this is the beauty of what's happening here. So now we see that God loves us and how important we are. And as we said in the beginning, each one of us got an important part in this big puzzle, and he has to work on it. And then the Torah is telling us another interesting point. 1 minute, we'll find it. פרק ט', at the end of the counting. וחנו בני ישראל, איש על מחנהו, ואיש על דגלו לצבאותם. And they all parked, each with his מחנה and his flag. And now, וידבר השם אל משה ולאהרון לאמור, איש על דגלו באותות לבית אבותם. What is the flag? We always think that the flag is a general invention. No, it's written in the Torah. What is the idea of a flag? We can get the idea looking at what's happening around us. For example, if somebody will spit on the flag of the USA, of United States, he will go to jail. And we all know that when in the Olympic Games and everything that guy competition, the flags of the country are up there high, because a flag is a symbol to something that you belong. A flag is something that makes you a part of a community, a certain community. You are proud in your flag. It's so important to you, this piece of nothing. And we all know how important it is. Where does it come from? From the Torah. Now, how many flags did they have in the desert? They had 4 camps. They divided to 4 camps, like Yehuda and others. So it means 4 flags. But we also know that each one of the tribes had a flag. But here it's written something unbelievable. Ish al diglo. What does it mean, Ish al diglo? A man on his flag. So 1 minute. A man on a flag, what flag? The flag of everybody? For example, a few years ago when we went to Turkey, to Istanbul, for the first time, well, quite a few years ago, a strange country, we came and also we all know it's, you see films and things, and there was somebody supposed to wait for us on the other side in the airport. We get to the airport, and unfortunately, there is nobody there for us. From the other side, we see a lot of flags, like flags, for example, the flying carpet, Yoni tours, and you see the people that are coming out of the plane, they're going around the flag of their group. And then you had also families. For example, there was somebody waiting for the Buzaglo family, Herstick family, Rosenberg family, but there was no Hamburger family. The feeling was very, very bad. Like we deserted. What are we going to do? We don't know nobody here. And we see the smiles of all those groups around their flag. And then I understand the idea, Ishal Diglo. You belong to something. The flag is something that puts us all together. And what is the idea of a flag for a tribe? We understand the whole tribe's got its own agenda. What is the idea of those 4 groups? Also, the same agenda. What is the idea of the Torah that they all were around it? The Torah is the center of everything. But what is the idea of each one of us having a flag? Because when we understand what's the idea of the flag, B'Shem Elokeinu Nidgol, V'diglo alay ahava is written. What is V'diglo alay ahava? That's the Matan Torah. Ish al diglo. What did we say in the beginning? Each one of us has got his own abilities, his own talent. That's your flag. You have to put it up and get to the highest level you can with your talent. But you're not alone. As is written here, let me find it. ויעשו בני ישראל ככל אשר ציווה השם. So the children of Israel did whatever God ordered them to do, ordered Moshe Rabbeinu. כן חנו, that's the way they parked with our flags that we mentioned now. וכן נסעו, and that's the way they also went all the trips. In other words, the same order that was with the flags and them standing, parking, the same way they were walking and going. איש למשפחותיו על בית אבותיו. Again, another interesting, important point. משפחות ובית אבותם. your family and your ancestors, your fathers. This is the way Am Yisrael walks in the desert. This is the way Am Yisrael should walk in the desert of life. This is the way that the Am Yisrael should walk to the diaspora. This is the way that Am Yisrael walks for many, many years. Which, when we talk about this, there's written this unbelievable pasuk. איש על דגלו באותות לבית אבותם יחנו בני ישראל מנגד סביב לאוהל מועד. We are standing, שיוויתי השם לנגיד תמיד, in front of God, while we surround, and in the center is what? You walk with your flag. We all walk with your family. And you walk as an individual that is a part of a big thing that is called Am Yisrael. כאיש אחד בלב אחד. And here is the point, with this would end the shiur, to mention another important, when we go abroad, there is, in a lot of places, something that is known as Bet Chabad. And this is unbelievable. What is Bet Chabad? This is a flag that we have abroad. We go to those places, there's nobody there. No Jews, no nothing, and suddenly there is a Bet Chabad, the flag in the middle. And we all go there, and we have our good food, and we have shul, and we have davening, we have everything. Now we have to look at those people that are carrying the flag. I think 2 years ago, I've been in Beijing, and the Rav there of Chabad, and then I realized also that being a shaliach of Chabad is not something temporary. It's not like a mission that you have to do for a few years and then walk home, and somebody is going to replace you. No, the Rab Shneur there, that helps the Rab Shimon from Chabad in Beijing, told me, being a shaliach is a mission for life. Because otherwise, you have to understand, nobody is going to put all his effort in order to build something that is going to stand for many years. Because if you know that you're doing something for a few years, so you do it, and then somebody else is going to come. So you're not going to invest so much in it. But if you know that's your life, and this is what you do, so you're going to invest. And for example, in Rab Shimon there in Beijing, he built a whole place, a kosher meaty restaurant, a kosher dairy restaurant, a beautiful shul, a beautiful hall for functions, and books, and everything you want to be Jewish far away from home, to have a home far away from. And we have to say thank you to those people. And we have to say thank you to the families. למשפחותם לבית אבותם. And he said that. He said, you have to understand, when I come here with my wife, this is my decisions with my wife. But the kids, they don't decide. I decided for them. So we have to say thank you to the kids of the shlichim. You know what it is to raise up kids in a foreign country with nothing, no Jewish facilities? This is a shlichut. This is mesirut nefesh. And this mesirut nefesh we do because we chose to do it. But our children, we choose for them. So we have to say thank you to them and to understand what they're sacrificing for this mission. Of course, the general idea is the whole family is sacrificing for Am Yisrael. This is walking in the desert, receiving the Torah, doing Sfirat HaOmer, counting the Omer, building ourselves to the level of each one of us using his flag, his abilities to be together around Ohel Moed. Each one of us with his own abilities. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.